Real, new, now. This is Ozarks Fox News.
Well, tonight, congressional Democrats are promising to fight back against a federal judge's ruling that the Affordable Care Act is unconstitutional. Thanks for watching. I'm John Adams.
And I'm Jennifer Abreu. Democrats are furious over that decision. The judge ruling that the Affordable Care Act is no longer legal because Congress removed the individual mandate, the law requiring Americans have coverage or pay a fine.
We will get great health care for our people. We'll have to sit down with the Democrats to do it, but I'm sure they want to do it also.
That as many as 20 million people will lose coverage in the first year alone.
According to healthcare.gov, the court's decision will not affect 2019 enrollment or coverage, but the activist group Protect Our Care says if Obamacare is eventually toppled in court, millions will be left stranded.
The White House is celebrating Friday's ruling, but admits the Affordable Care Act does remain in place. Meanwhile, President Trump says Congress should scrap it altogether and draft an entirely new health care law.
Well, continuing with news from our nation's capital, Congress has until Friday to put together a government funding bill that the president will sign, or parts of the federal government will run out of money and shut down.
President Trump says he's willing to allow that to happen if he doesn't get billions of dollars for a border wall. Our Washington correspondent Jessica Smith has the latest.
And I'm going to shut it down.
As the president threatens a partial government shutdown, Republicans say they're doing everything they can to avoid one.
It's important that we don't shut the government down. We have a lot of different programs that we do need up and running.
Parts of the government, including the Department of Homeland Security, will run out of money on midnight Friday. Unless lawmakers pass a funding bill the president will sign. President Trump says he'll only sign a bill if he gets $5 billion for his border wall. Senator Joni Ernst says she hopes the two sides can strike a deal.
Let's secure our border, but then let's find other ways that we might be able to gain support from the other side of the aisle.
Democratic lawmakers say they don't want a shutdown either, but they've already agreed to $1.6 billion for border security, and they say that's enough.
It's really frustrating to me.
Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin says her party does want to fund border security, but not necessarily a concrete wall.
There's also other smart technology and barriers that can do a much better job.
Senator Debbie Stabenow says the president needs to realize a shutdown is a bad idea, especially for federal workers.
Border security, customs, airport security and so on, who actually would be forced to work without pay during the holidays. That makes absolutely no sense.
Ernst says Congress could pass another short-term bill to keep the government open, but it's not clear if the president would sign it. In Washington, I'm Jessica Smith.
Now, lawmakers are hoping to use that end-of-year spending bill to send critical disaster relief to victims of hurricanes and wildfires.
But our Bree Jackson reports the standoff over the border wall that we just heard about may also shut down those efforts to get money for those who need it most to rebuild and recover.
It's been nearly 2 months since Hurricane Michael ravaged southern communities. Now lawmakers hope to send much needed financial support to those still recovering. Georgia Congressman Austin Scott says the agriculture industry lost billions from the storm and farmers are racing the clock to rebuild.
Because we have to pay out the 2018 crop loans before the 2019 crop can be financed and put in the ground. And so time is of the essence.
Scott is pushing to include disaster relief funding in the spending bill, but the money's currently caught in the middle of a political battle over President Trump's border wall. And President Trump is threatening a partial government shutdown if Congress doesn't approve $5 billion for the border wall. But Democrats are not budging.
Notion that Mr. Trump has that somehow a wall is a good security. There's never been a wall that you can't climb over or dig under.
Virginia Senator Mark Warner says Democrats would approve $1.6 billion to boost border security, but won't fund a physical wall.
Better use of technology, better use of drones, other kinds of electronic surveillance on our border.
With the December 21st deadline approaching, Congress must reach an agreement soon or risk facing a political disaster. Scott says he'll consider separating hurricane relief funding from the broader bill if it helps get disaster victims the help they need.
Whether it is attached to something or it is standalone, it needs to happen, and it needs to happen now.
In Washington, Bree Jackson.
We'll still ahead tonight on Ozarks Tonight.
The death of a 7-year-old girl in the custody of the U.S. Border Patrol is under investigation. Immigration advocates demand to know whether the Border Patrol could have prevented the child's death.
Our Washington correspondent Alexandra Limon reports the Department of Homeland Security is defending its actions, but some lawmakers accuse DHS of being careless.
Lawmakers want to see for themselves conditions at the Border Patrol station that held a 7-year-old Guatemalan girl for hours before her death. The Congressional Hispanic Caucus will lead a delegation to the New Mexico facility on Tuesday. Trump administration officials blamed the child's death on her family's decision to come to the U.S. illegally. White House aide Stephen Miller.
It is a painful reminder of the ongoing humanitarian tragedy that is illegal immigration.
Homeland Security officials say young Jacqueline Calmaquin died because her family forced her to trek through the desert with little food and water. But Jacqueline's father said in a statement that the girl was in good health when they were apprehended by CBP. Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke says 200 migrants died in the past fiscal year trying to come into the U.S. 7 of them were children.
It's not just Trump, it's not just the administration, it's not just the government, it's all of us until we make this right.
Members of Congress have asked DHS and CBP to report the death of any person who's in custody within 24 hours, but that did not happen. Over the weekend, lawmakers, including Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley, visited a child detention facility in Texas.
They're trapped here in this child prison.
The lawmakers heading to New Mexico on Tuesday say they plan a press conference on their findings after their tour. Administration officials say they'll accompany the lawmakers to the facility. In Washington, Alexandra Limon.
We'll still ahead on Ozarks Tonight.
People are calling, pulling their hair out, saying, hey, the Corps is going to make me move a wall that's been there since 1962.
Our David Oliver sat down with Representative Billy Long to talk about a new bill that impacts many people in the Branson area. Stay with us.
You're watching Ozarks Fox News. Real New Now.